Okay. People constantly tell me that I act older than I am, that I look my age, but that I inherently seem and give off this older essence. And this can be for many reasons. One of them can be that they want to justify hanging out with a younger person to themselves. Another reason it can be that being a woman is something that isn't promoted in the way that it should be. And this is what I'm going to focus this video on. And I was very curious to know how people felt in their evolution to being a woman, because some of us feel womanly when we're paying all our bills. Some of us feel womanly when we're independent. But that wasn't my experience per se, because I've been paying bills since I was maybe very young. And I've been independent since around that age as well. So my independence did not feel mutually exclusive with my womanhood. Even my sexuality did not feel mutually exclusive with my womanhood, because I've been getting sexualized since I was 6 years old. So, not to say that that's okay, but it's just been my experience. Like, my body has been a vessel to be used for consumption almost for all my life. So, none of these things, independence, financial independence as well, or like sexuality, has made me feel like a woman. And this also takes me to the idea of whether you're a woman by other standards, from, for example, when you get married, when you get your first period, when you first start being intimate with another person, or if it's a feeling in your body. Because for me, it became a feeling in my body. There was no external thing that I had to do to start feeling like a woman. It was more of an internal shift that then brought on external shifts to my life. And when I truly started feeling grown was when I used my feminine energy to start facilitating my life. And to some extent, I feel like I've kind of been using my feminine energy to make my life easier since forever. But when I started using it deliberately, when I started wielding the power that comes with being feminine, that's when I started feeling grown. That's when I started feeling like I had some control over how I was being perceived, over how my image was being consumed, over how I was being treated. Because I was sexualized for a very long time, but I was not getting benefits from it really, I felt like I was being exploited. And if you understand a lot of leftist ideology, you'll know that the reason why capitalism is frowned upon is because workers don't get paid what they make, what they produce essentially. And so I felt like a worker that was being taken advantage of for her looks, for her being a woman, for the weird, perverse connotations that we have with women who are from the Caribbean. Like all these things layered, even being Latina and being called spicy. Like I had a professor literally called spicy. I had another professor literally grab my thigh. And there's all this rhetoric around how women need to be punished for lying about being harassed. But the thing is, women are harassed so continuously that if we put the fear of maybe not being able to prove that they were harassed, or if we remove the credibility from all women when they are harassed, that does a lot more harm than good, because a lot of women are scared to even speak up when it does happen. And the proportion of women who don't speak up when it happens to women who lie about it happening is very drastic and incomparable. I started feeling like a woman, like a grown woman, when I started setting boundaries. When I started having limits as to how much I would allow people to access me. And I have a course that I'm going to release a module on setting boundaries. If you're interested, go for it. If you're not, whatever. You can find it at the link at the top of my pages. But like, working didn't make me feel adult. Paying bills didn't make me feel adult. My sexuality didn't make me feel adult. Because these were all things that were being used to exploit me from a very young age. And they made me feel powerless. And when I think of women, I think power. I think control. I think pleasure. And I think this is the understanding that we need to start having if we want to shift from this hatred of being a woman. Because there was a time when I just hated being a woman. I hated being female. I hated having breasts and having hips, and I just hated all the weight that was put on me for just being a girl. All the responsibility and all the shame that I had to bear because other people, men specifically, couldn't control themselves because of all the reasons why being a woman is hard. But now, I feel like there's so many benefits. I love being a woman. I love being able to control how much of me people get, how much they even get to look at me, how much they get to speak to me. And that's why I think it's really important that we learn to be disagreeable as women, because it's frowned upon. Men get so upset when you're not fun to consume. But who cares if this man is having a bad time when they're not even a good man? And that's my beef with boy moms. That's my beef with women who love defending men, women who love saying, I don't need a meal ticket, I don't need him to pay my bills, it's giving broke, it's giving you need a man. If you want men to continue accessing you and giving you nothing in return, that's on you. But when women do want more and you're judging them, when women are vibrant and you're judging them, when women know how they deserve to take up space and they know how to feel pleasure in just being themselves, and they're attracting men who do want to give more, and then you get upset, make it make sense. Because it'll be exactly the women who frown upon femininity who get mad that feminine women have easy lives. And that takes me to my next point of why sometimes we think that femininity is a performance. It's because it is. It is a performance. But so is any identity that you felt you've had to have in order to survive. Your persona, your who you are, is really just a group of characteristics that were superimposed upon you by the environment that you were living in. But people are so attached to this identity, to how they speak, to how they communicate, that they don't realize if you didn't learn from someone who is living the life that you want how to be, then you'll never attract the life that you want. So at the beginning, yes, I had to perform femininity because it felt robotic. Just the same with how I had to perform confidence. Just the same with how I had to perform in order to exist in academia. But these were all spaces that were going to get me to my dream life, that were going to get me closer to what I wanted. And after I got comfortable with this new persona, with this new flavor of myself, with this new version of myself, it got easy. It stopped being a performance. It started just being who I was, who I am. And that takes me to my last point. Being sexualized from a young age is very damaging to the psyche. It's very overwhelming. It's very much like it shatters who you think you are, because suddenly you go from being a child to people literally wanting to consume you, to take you, to rob you of your essence and your love. It's very traumatizing. And men will never understand this. Men will never understand the weight of having to be afraid of navigating the world. Men will never have the fear of being attacked constantly and as perversely as we do as women. And there's so many other reasons, but these are just the ones that are on my heart right now. So if you're constantly defending men for what other women know they deserve to receive from them, what is the purpose of you doing that? Like, I think pick me women are so funny and so cringe. Just the same way they think women who demand more, women who embody their feminine energy are cringe. I think that shit is cringe.